The Daesang Collective had ruled the galaxy for 10,000 years. No one questioned their power. Their massive ships traveled between stars with ease. Their weapons could destroy planets. All other life forms bowed to them. High Overseer Quan liked to spend time on the observation deck of his flagship. Today, he stood before the huge holographic map of Daesang space. Thousands of stars glowed blue, showing worlds under their control. He felt pride as he looked at their empire. "Another successful harvest from the Talus system," said his aide. The local species provided no resistance. Quan nodded. This was normal. The Daesang took what they wanted. Lesser beings served or died. Captain Jun entered the deck and bowed deeply. "Overseer, I bring news from the Edge Scouts." Quan didn't turn around. Edge reports rarely mattered. Usually just primitive life with no value. "Speak." "We found a new civilization on a small blue planet in Sector 87. They call themselves humans." Quan continued studying the map. "Another primitive species." "Yes, Overseer. They've only achieved basic space travel within their own system. But..." Quan finally turned. Captain Jun rarely hesitated. "But what?" "Their development timeline is unusual. They've advanced from simple tools to spaceflight in less than 10,000 years. Most species take 5 times longer." "Interesting, but irrelevant," said Quan. "Begin standard protocols. Resource assessment first, then subjugation planning." Captain Jun bowed again. "Already underway, Overseer. Our scout ships are invisible to their detection systems. We're gathering data on their planet's resources and military capability." "Good. Assign it low priority. No need to rush." Quan turned back to his map. One more world among thousands meant nothing. In the Science Division 20 decks below, researcher Han sat surrounded by screens filled with data about Earth. She had been studying the humans for 3 weeks now, and sleep had become rare. Something about these creatures bothered her. "Processing complete," announced the computer. "Human technological advancement model updated." Han studied the new graph with wide eyes. "Run it again," she ordered. The computer complied. The results were the same. Han pulled up the records of 50 other species the Daesang had conquered. She compared their development patterns to the humans. The difference was striking. Most species followed a predictable path, with slow advancement for millennia, then gradual acceleration. Humans showed explosive growth in very short time frames. "They keep adapting," she whispered. "They fail, they learn, they improve. So quickly." Her assistant, Jun, looked over her shoulder. "What does it matter? They're still primitive. No match for us." Han pointed to Earth's recent history. "Look here. They went from first flight to landing on their moon in just 66 years. From basic computing to global information networks in 40 years. Their rate of adaptation is unlike anything in our records." Jun shrugged. "They'll still die like all the others." Han wasn't convinced. She compiled her findings and sent a message to the High Council, suggesting caution in dealing with humans. Perhaps this species deserved more study before standard conquest procedures. 3 days later, her report came back with a single word stamped across it: "Denied." Han wasn't surprised. The Daesang never changed their methods. Why would they? They had conquered thousands of worlds the same way. First, scout ships gathered information. Then harvest ships took resources. Finally, control ships established permanent rule. Any resistance was crushed by warships. But something about these humans worried her. She continued studying their transmissions in secret. On the command deck, Quan received the first detailed reports about Earth. The planet was rich in water, metals, and biological diversity. Human weapons were primitive, nuclear at best. Their space presence was minimal. They would fall easily. "Begin Phase 2, Quan ordered. "Send 3 harvest ships to their outer planets. Take resources openly. Let's see how they respond to our presence." Captain Jun looked uncomfortable. "Sir, researcher Han has submitted another report." She suggests humans might respond unpredictably. Has she been disciplined for wasting council time? Yes, Overseer. Good. Proceed as ordered. 3 Daezang harvest ships entered the human solar system. They began mining operations on a gas giant humans called Neptune. The massive ships broke the planet's rings apart, extracting rare elements. They ignored all human transmissions. In her lab, Han monitored Earth communications. Humans had detected the Daezang ships. Their response was not fear, as expected, but unified purpose. Nations that had fought each other for centuries suddenly worked together. Military ships from different countries formed joint patrols. Scientists shared information freely. They're preparing. She told Jun, not surrendering or fighting among themselves like most species. Jun finally looked concerned. Should we tell the Overseer? Han shook her head. He won't listen. The Council believes this will be like every other conquest. Days later, a small human ship approached one of the harvesters. It was primitive, nuclear-powered. The Daesang commander followed standard protocol. He destroyed it with a single energy pulse. Han watched Earth's response through their broadcasts. Instead of panic, she saw determination. Humans didn't fragment into fearful groups. They showed images of their destroyed ship to everyone. They called the crew heroes. They built more ships. This isn't normal, Han told her assistant. Most species surrender after the first show of force. The Daezang continued their harvest operations, moving inward toward Earth. They destroyed any human ships that approached. Each destruction made humans more determined, not less. Han tried one more time to warn the Council. She prepared detailed analysis showing human psychological patterns. They become stronger when threatened, she wrote. Standard methods will fail. Her warning was ignored again. Instead, she received orders to stop her research. The human conquest would proceed normally. Han knew then that the Daezang had made a terrible mistake. For the first time in 10,000 years, they faced a species that thought differently. A species that grew stronger from failure. A species that united against outside threats. As the harvest ships moved toward Mars, Han made a decision that would change the galaxy forever. She began copying all her research on Daezang weaknesses. The exploration vessel Endeavour moved slowly through Saturn's icy rings. Captain Park watched from the bridge as ice particles glittered against the viewports. His crew of 32 had spent 3 months studying the ring's composition. Beautiful, isn't it? Said his science officer, Dr. Kim. Each particle tells a story about the solar system's birth. Park nodded. We'll need to head home soon. Our supplies. The alarm cut him off. Red lights flashed across the bridge. Massive energy signature, shouted the sensor operator. Something's appearing. Space itself seemed to tear open. A massive ship emerged from the rip. It was like nothing humans had ever built. Sleek, dark, and enormous. At least 5 times larger than the Endeavour. The bridge fell silent. First contact. Humanity had wondered about this moment for centuries. Open a channel, Park ordered. His heart beat fast, but his voice stayed calm. All frequencies, all languages. The communications officer worked quickly. Channel open, sir. Park took a deep breath. This is Commander Park of the Earth vessel Endeavour. We come in peace and welcome you to our solar system. Seconds passed. The alien ship moved closer. No response came. Send our first contact package, Park ordered. All our greeting messages and basic information about Earth. The ship kept approaching. Still no response. Sir, they're powering up something, the sensor operator said. Energy readings are off the charts. Park frowned. Are they preparing to communicate? Dr. Kim gripped the console. I don't think so, sir. Those readings look like. A bright beam of light shot from the alien ship. It hit the Endeavour directly. There was no time to evade, no time to raise shields. The Endeavour exploded in a brilliant flash. All 32 crew members died instantly. Pieces of the ship scattered among Saturn's rings, becoming just more debris in the vast field. The alien ship moved on, heading toward the inner solar system. Back on Earth, the loss of contact with the Endeavour caused concern but not panic. Space missions sometimes lost communication temporarily, but when the Neptune mining station went silent 12 hours later, followed by the Mars colony, alarms spread through every government. Emergency satellites captured images of the alien ships, now 3 of them, methodically destroying human outposts. The images reached Earth and spread across every news channel and social media platform. For the first time in history, Earth's nations united completely. Ancient enemies offered help to each other. The United Nations called an emergency session that lasted just 2 hours, the shortest and most productive in its history. The Terran Defense Alliance was formed with unanimous support. Admiral Lee, who had commanded Earth's largest space fleet, was chosen to lead. In the Alliance's first meeting, representatives from every major nation gathered in an underground bunker beneath Geneva. The mood was grim. "The aliens have destroyed 6 outposts," reported General Yoon. "Over 800 lives lost. They've ignored all attempts at communication." Admiral Lee stood before the world's leaders. She was not tall, but her presence commanded respect. "We have limited options. Our weapons are designed to fight each other, not advanced alien threats." "Do we surrender?" asked one representative. Lee's eyes flashed. "Surrender to an enemy that attacks without warning, that refuses to communicate? No, we fight." "With what?" asked another leader. "Their ships outclass ours in every way." Lee pointed to the screen showing the alien vessels. "These beings have revealed something important about themselves. They believe us primitive and helpless. That will be their mistake." She unveiled Earth's strategy. Every satellite would be weaponized, all rockets repurposed for defense. A global shield system would begin construction immediately. "Most importantly," Lee said, "we'll use what makes humans special. We adapt. We learn. We overcome. Where other species might surrender, we will fight smarter." Within days, the first alien ship entered Earth orbit. It fired on military bases around the planet. Millions watched as missiles launched in response. They did nothing against the alien shields. But the aliens didn't know they were being studied. Every attack revealed data about their technology. Every destroyed human weapon provided information. And deep in space, something important happened. A small human mining ship found debris from one of the destroyed outposts. Mixed with it was a piece of alien technology, a damaged scout craft. The ship's captain made a crucial decision. Instead of reporting the find, she took it to a secret research facility on the far side of the moon. There, Earth's best scientists worked day and night to understand the alien technology. Progress was slow at first, then breakthrough after breakthrough occurred. In the Daezang flagship, researcher Han monitored Earth's response with growing alarm. The collective had expected surrender or chaotic fighting. Instead, humans organized with remarkable speed. "Their primitive weapons can't harm our ships," Captain Jun assured her. "The subjugation will proceed normally." But Han had just discovered something troubling. She detected energy signatures matching Daezang technology from Earth. "Impossible," she whispered. She checked again. The signatures were weak but unmistakable. Somehow, humans had obtained Daezang technology and were studying it. Han ran a timeline calculation. The humans had begun reverse engineering in less than 2 weeks. Most species took years to understand even basic Daezang systems. She prepared yet another warning for High Overseer Quan. For the first time, she marked it as critical priority. Quan's response was swift and angry. "Your obsession with these humans weakens the collective. Report to reconditioning immediately." Han knew what reconditioning meant. Her memories would be erased, her personality reset. She would emerge as a loyal drone, her concerns about humans forgotten. She looked at her research one last time. Everything pointed to the same conclusion. Humans were unlike any species the Daezang had encountered before. Their rapid adaptation, their unified response to threats, their engineering ingenuity, All suggested the collective had made a terrible mistake. Han made her decision. She downloaded all her research onto a small data device and encrypted it with her personal code. Then she headed toward the shuttle bay. If the collective wouldn't listen, perhaps the humans would. She would take the greatest risk any Daezang had taken in 10,000 years. She would defect. Fleet Commander Sung stood on the bridge of his massive warship. His invasion force surrounded the red planet the humans called Mars. 25 Daezang vessels, each able to destroy continents. The humans had established colonies here, small domes, and underground bases. Taking them would be simple. Begin the attack, Sung ordered. Full power. Show no mercy. The Daezang ships moved toward Mars in perfect formation. They had used this approach for thousands of years on hundreds of worlds. No one had ever stopped them. Enemy ships detected, reported his sensor officer. Sung smiled. How many? Just 6, Commander. Small vessels. Primitive design. Pathetic, Sung said. Destroy them. The Daezang weapons charged. But before they could fire, the human ships did something unexpected. They split up and accelerated to high speed, each heading in a different direction. They're running away, laughed one of the bridge officers. Sung wasn't so sure. Track them carefully. 3 of the human ships disappeared behind Mars. The others seemed to flee toward the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter. Sir, said the communications officer, we're receiving a message from the Mars colony. They'd wish to surrender. This was normal. Most species surrendered when they saw the Daezang fleet. Tell them to prepare for occupation. First group will land in 1 hour. Some ordered 5 ships to land troops on Mars. The rest would continue to Earth. The conquest was proceeding exactly as planned. Then everything changed. Energy spiked behind us, shouted the sensor officer. A bright flash appeared near one of the Daezang ships at the rear of the formation. The massive vessel exploded suddenly, breaking into pieces. What happened? Demanded Sung. Report. Unknown weapon signature, said the officer. It came from nowhere. Impossible. Find the source. Another flash. Another Daezang ship exploded. Sung's vessel rocked as something hit it from behind. Alarms sounded across the bridge. We're taking damage, shouted the weapons officer. Rear shields failing. Sung stared at the tactical display in disbelief. Small ships were appearing from nowhere, firing powerful weapons, then disappearing again. Where are they coming from? He screamed. The asteroids, sir, reported the sensor officer. They're hiding among the rocks, then using short jumps to attack. This was not how lesser species fought. They were supposed to form up in large groups, easy to track and destroy. These humans were fighting like Daezang. Hit and run. Ambush tactics. All ships, defensive formation. Sung ordered. Protect each other's blind spots. But it was too late. The human ships appeared and disappeared too quickly. Their weapons were too powerful for such small vessels. 3 more Daezang ships exploded before they could regroup. Impossible. Sung screamed as his tactical display showed another capital ship breaking apart. How are they doing this? On his command ship's main screen, a human face appeared, a woman with determined eyes. This is Admiral Lee of the Terran Defense Force. Your invasion has failed. Retreat now or be destroyed. Sung's anger boiled over. How dare you address me, insect? I will burn your world to ash. The human just smiled. You had your chance. The screen went dark. Moments later, Sung's ship shook violently. Sections of the bridge exploded. Warning alarms blared. Main reactor hit, shouted an officer. Critical damage. Get us out of here, Sung ordered. Emergency jump to safety coordinates. Only 7 of the original 25 ships managed to escape. The others were destroyed or crippled beyond repair. The great Daezang fleet, undefeated for 10,000 years, had been beaten by primitives. As Sung's damaged ship limped away from Mars, he knew his career, and probably his life, was over. News of the Daesang defeat spread quickly across their empire. The communications networks tried to suppress it, but the truth leaked out. On dozens of conquered worlds, subjugated species heard whispers. The invincible Daesang had been beaten. In the slave quarters of distant planets, hope began to grow. Resistance groups formed in shadows. If humans could fight back, perhaps others could too. At the same time, researcher Han made her decision. After watching the battle from her research vessel, she could no longer be part of the collective. The Daesang were making a terrible mistake underestimating these humans. Han's access codes still worked despite her warnings about humans being ignored. She used them to enter a small scout ship in the auxiliary bay. The guard didn't question her. Scientists often took ships for research purposes. She programmed a course toward Earth, her heart beating fast. What she was doing had never been done before. No Daesang had ever betrayed the collective. The punishment was worse than death, complete mind erasure, then eternal servitude as a mindless drone. Han launched her ship and accelerated away from the fleet. Alarms sounded almost immediately. She had expected this. She activated the experimental cloaking device she had been developing. Another thing she had kept secret from her superiors. "Forgive me," she whispered to the empty ship. 10,000 years of loyalty to her species ended in one moment of decision. The journey to Earth took 3 days. Han used the time to organize all her research on Daesang weaknesses, shield frequencies, weapon recharge rates, jump drive limitations, information that would be priceless to humans. When she reached Earth orbit, her ship was immediately surrounded by human vessels. They were crude but effective. Han transmitted a simple message. "I come in peace. I wish to defect. I have information that will help you." The humans were suspicious, of course. They kept weapons locked on her ship while they debated what to do. Finally, they escorted her to a space station in high orbit. Armed guards met her when she docked. Han had expected this too. She left her weapons on her ship and went with them willingly. They took her to a secure room where Admiral Lee waited. Han had seen her during the battle near Mars. The human leader looked tired but determined. "Why should I believe you're not a spy?" Lee asked directly. Han placed a data device on the table between them. "This contains everything I know about Daesang weaknesses, shield frequencies, weapon systems, command structures. I'm giving you this before you've even decided to trust me." Lee studied her for a long moment. "Why are you doing this?" "Because my people are wrong," Han said simply. "For 10,000 years, we've believed ourselves superior to all other life. We've conquered and enslaved without question. I've watched how you humans fight, how you adapt, how you work together despite your differences. The Daesang will never change unless forced to." Lee picked up the data device. "What do you want in return?" "Nothing," Han replied. "Except perhaps a new home. When this is over, I can never return to the collective." Over the next days, Han worked closely with human scientists and military leaders. She explained Daesang tactics, technology, and biology. She showed them how the collective thought, how they planned conquests, how they had never faced a serious challenge before. "Your unpredictability is your strength," she told Admiral Lee during one strategy session. "No species has fought the collective this way before. They expect direct confrontation, large formations, conventional tactics. Your guerrilla approach confuses them completely." "We're just getting started," Lee replied with a determined smile. "Wait until you see what we're building." Han soon learned what the Admiral meant. Deep in asteroid bases and hidden lunar factories, humans were constructing hybrid ships. They combined Daesang technology with human innovation in ways Han would never have imagined. The results were vessels smaller than Daesang ships, but just as deadly, and far more maneuverable. For the first time in her long life, Han felt something new, hope that the endless cycle of Daesang conquest might finally be broken, and pride in her decision to help make it happen. The Alpha Centauri system shimmered with activity. 6 months had passed since the Mars battle. Humans had established their first colony beyond the solar system here, on a small rocky planet they named New Earth. The settlement was small, just 4,000 people, but it represented humanity's first step to the stars. The Dazang noticed. This system was too close to Earth. A human presence there could not be allowed. High Overseer Quan assembled the largest fleet in Dazang history. 200 warships gathered at their forward base. This would not be a simple invasion. This would be extermination. The humans have been fortunate, Quan told his commanders. Their victory at Mars was accident and luck. Now they will face the true might of the collective. The new fleet commander, Admiral Min, bowed deeply. The humans will be crushed, Overseer. I stake my life on it. Min was known for his cruelty. Entire species had been wiped out under his command. He had replaced Commander Sung, who had been publicly executed for his failure at Mars. His head still hung outside the council chambers as a warning to others. Begin the attack, ordered Quan. Show no mercy. The Dazang fleet moved through hyperspace and emerged near Alpha Centauri. Their sensors immediately detected the human colony and a small defensive fleet, just 30 ships. Min laughed when he saw the numbers. This will be over quickly. His capital ships moved forward in traditional Dazang attack formation. Sensors showed the human vessels holding position near their colony. They aren't even trying to run, Min said. Pathetic. All ships, prepare to fire. But as the Dazang closed to firing range, the human ships suddenly accelerated to incredible speeds. They moved in patterns Min had never seen before, spirals, loops, and sudden direction changes that should have been impossible. What are they doing? He demanded. Before anyone could answer, the first Dazang ship exploded, then another, and another. Min stared at his tactical display in shock. The human ships were somehow getting past their shields. They would appear near a Dazang vessel, fire strange weapons that seemed to pass through shields, and then jump away before counterfire could hit them. Impossible, Min shouted. No species has weapons that can penetrate our shields. But the evidence was clear. The humans had somehow combined Dazang technology with their own innovations to create something new. Their smaller ships were faster and more agile than anything the collective had. Their weapons pulsed with energy that matched Dazang's shield frequencies exactly. Change shield modulations, Min ordered. Random patterns. It was too late. The human ships adapted immediately, changing their weapon frequencies to match. Min watched in horror as his fleet, the pride of the Dazang collective, was systematically taken apart. Ship after ship exploded. The beautiful formations broke apart as captains tried to flee. Stand and fight. Min screamed into the communication system. Any who retreat will be executed. His words had little effect. The Dazang had never experienced defeat like this. They had no protocols for it, no training. Panic spread through the fleet. After 6 hours of battle, it was over. Of the 200 ships Min had brought, fewer than 50 survived to limp back to Dazang space. The humans had lost only 7 vessels. The news reached High Overseer Quan as he waited in his palace. His aides feared bringing him the report. The last messenger who had brought bad news had been killed on the spot. Quan read the report silently. His face showed no emotion, but his hands trembled. We've never lost a major engagement in recorded history, he muttered. Not in 10,000 years. He rose from his throne and walked to the window. Outside, the capital city sprawled across the landscape. Millions of Dazang went about their lives, never doubting their place as the galaxy's masters. The council must be informed, he said finally. The council meeting was grim. 9 ancient Dazang sat around a table of black stone. Each represented a major bloodline of their species. The situation is unprecedented, Quan told them. The humans have technology they should not have. They fight in ways we cannot predict. How is this possible? Demanded Councillor Gill. They were primitives just 2 years ago. We believe they had help, Quan said carefully. A Dazang scientist defected to them. Researcher Han. The council chamber erupted in shocked voices. Defection was unheard of. No Daizeng had ever betrayed the collective. This changes everything, said Councillor Jin, the oldest member. We must crush them completely. Send the planet killers. Planet killers were the Daizeng's most fearsome weapons. Massive ships that could destroy entire worlds. They had been used only 3 times in history. I agree, said Quan. I've already ordered Admiral Ta to prepare them. What Quan didn't know was that his conversation was being recorded. A servant in the council chamber belonged to a small resistance group. For generations, a few Daizeng had questioned their species' right to rule others. They had stayed hidden, knowing discovery meant death. Now, this servant sent the recording through secret channels. It passed through hidden networks to a small ship waiting at the edge of Daizeng space. That ship jumped to human territory. 3 days later, Admiral Li received the warning. The Daizeng were preparing their planet killers. How much time do we have? She asked Han, who had become her most trusted advisor. 2 weeks at most, Han replied. The planet killers are kept in deep storage. They take time to activate. Li called an emergency meeting of Earth's leaders. We've hurt them, but now they'll try to destroy us completely. Can we stop these planet killers? Asked the president of the United Earth Government. Han stepped forward. I've been working with your scientists on something that might help. She displayed plans for a shield system designed specifically to counter the planet killers' energy signatures. It will take all of Earth's resources to build in time, and it's never been tested. Do it, ordered the president. For the next 2 weeks, every factory on Earth worked nonstop. The shield generators were massive, requiring rare materials from across the solar system. Ships raced back and forth, bringing components. The entire planet focused on one goal: survival. Meanwhile, something unexpected happened. News of the human victory at Alpha Centauri spread throughout the galaxy. On worlds the Daizeng had conquered centuries ago, oppressed species heard that the invincible masters had been defeated. Hope spread like fire. On 12 different worlds, rebellions began simultaneously. Slave species that had served the Daizeng for generations suddenly fought back. They used whatever weapons they could find or make. The Daizeng military, already stretched thin by the human conflict, couldn't respond everywhere at once. Some rebellions were crushed brutally. Others succeeded in taking control of their planets. Representatives from these free worlds reached out to Earth. They wanted to join forces. Admiral Li welcomed them. Together, we are stronger than any of us alone. The Galactic Coalition was born. Earth stood at its center, but all member worlds had equal voice. For the first time in 10,000 years, the Daizeng faced a united opposition. With Han's help, humans shared their technology with their new allies. More hybrid ships were built in hidden shipyards. Defense systems were established on coalition worlds. Most importantly, Han helped humans develop countermeasures for every Daizeng weapon. She knew the planet killers better than anyone. She had worked on their design early in her career. The collective's greatest strength was its aura of invincibility. Han told a gathering of coalition leaders. That's gone now. They can be beaten. They can be stopped. As the Daizeng planet killers prepared to launch their attack on Earth, they had no idea what was waiting for them. The tide of a 10,000-year empire had begun to turn. The massive fleet moved through space toward the Daizeng homeworld. 500 ships from 20 different worlds, all united under the coalition banner. At the center flew the Earth flagship Justice, the largest vessel humans had ever built. Admiral Li stood on the bridge, watching the tactical display. For 3 years, the war had raged across the galaxy. The coalition had grown stronger with each victory. Now they were bringing the fight to the heart of the enemy. We're approaching Daizeng space, reported the navigation officer. Their border defenses are active. Li nodded. All ships, prepare for battle. Remember the plan. The coalition fleet had fought its way across 50 systems to reach this point. They had liberated dozens of enslaved worlds. Each victory added more ships and fighters to their cause. Han stood beside Admiral Lee. The Daesang scientist had become Lee's most trusted advisor and friend. Her knowledge had saved countless lives. "The collective will fight harder than ever here," Han warned. "This is their home." "I know," Lee replied, "but we didn't come this far to turn back." The border defenses opened fire as the coalition fleet approached. Massive energy weapons lashed out from orbital platforms. The coalition ships activated their shields, special designs based on Han's knowledge, able to withstand Daesang weapons. The battle was fierce but brief. The border stations fell one by one. The path to the Daesang homeworld lay open. "We've broken through," Lee announced to the fleet. "All ships continue to Phase 2. Deep in Daesang space, High Overseer Quan received the news with cold anger. The war had cost him everything. His reputation, his power. Half the council blamed him for underestimating the humans in the first place. "The defenses have failed," reported his aide. "The coalition fleet will reach our homeworld in 6 hours." Quan made his decision. "Activate the final protocol." His aide looked shocked. "Sir, the final protocol has never been used. It will kill billions, including many of our own people." "Better that than surrender to lesser beings," Quan said coldly. "Do it." In a hidden laboratory beneath the capital city, Daesang scientists activated a terrible weapon. It released a biological agent into the atmosphere, a virus designed to attack the nervous systems of all non-Daesang life forms. It would spread quickly through space, carried by ships and travelers, eventually reaching every world in the galaxy. The Daesang would survive. Everything else would die. On the Justice, alarms blared. Han rushed to the sensor station, her face pale with fear. "They've released the bioweapon," she reported. "All non-Daesang life forms are targeted. It's the final protocol. The weapon they promised never to use." Lee's expression hardened. "How long do we have?" "Hours at most," Han said. "It spreads through space faster than normal physics should allow. They designed it that way." "Deploy the countermeasure," ordered Lee. For months, Han had worked with coalition scientists to develop protection against this very weapon. She had discovered its existence in the Daesang archives and warned the coalition. Together, they had created a shield technology that could neutralize the bioweapon. Coalition ships throughout the galaxy received the emergency signal. They activated the special shields, creating bubbles of protected space around populated worlds. The bioweapon hit these shields and dissolved harmlessly. When Quan learned the final protocol had failed, he knew the war was truly lost. But still, he ordered his remaining ships to defend the homeworld. The Daesang would not surrender. They would fight to the last. The final battle raged above the Daesang homeworld. Thousands of ships filled the space around the blue-green planet. Energy weapons flashed. Explosions bloomed like silent flowers. Admiral Min commanded the Daesang defense from his massive flagship. "Fight for the glory of the collective," he shouted to his forces. "Death before dishonor." The battle lasted 23 hours. Coalition ships methodically took down the Daesang defenses. Their hybrid technology gave them advantages the Daesang couldn't counter. The turning point came when a small group of coalition ships broke through the defensive line. Led by a human captain named Jin, they targeted Min's flagship directly. "All weapons on the command ship," ordered Jin. Her vessel had been converted from a Daesang scout ship, now filled with human innovations. Their combined attack broke through Min's shields. His massive ship exploded in a ball of white fire. When the Daesang saw their admiral's ship destroyed, resistance crumbled. One by one, they powered down weapons and raised surrender signals. The war was over. 3 days later, coalition forces controlled the Daesang capital. High Overseer Quan and the surviving council members were brought before Admiral Lee for the peace treaty ceremony. They expected execution. The Daesang would have shown no mercy to defeated enemies. Lee stood before them in the Grand Council chamber. Representatives from 20 coalition species stood with her. The room was tense. Many wanted revenge for thousands of years of Daezang oppression. The Daezang Collective has fallen, Li announced. Your empire of fear and control is ended forever. Quan lowered his head, waiting for the death sentence. But Li surprised everyone. Yet today we don't seek revenge. Instead, we offer you membership in the Galactic Coalition. As equals, not masters. As partners, not conquerors. Murmurs of shock ran through the room. Han stepped forward to translate the offer, making sure the Daezang understood. Why would you show mercy? Asked Quan. After all we've done. Because dominance is fragile, Li answered. Cooperation endures. The cycle of violence and revenge must end somewhere. We choose to end it here. The terms were clear. The Daezang would dismantle their weapons of mass destruction. They would free all remaining slave worlds. They would share their technology with the Coalition. In return, they would keep their homeworld and join the new galactic government as equals. It took time for the Daezang to accept this new reality. Some refused, forming resistance groups that were eventually defeated. But most recognized the wisdom in Li's offer. 100 years passed. The galaxy changed greatly in that time. The Coalition grew to include hundreds of worlds. Ships traveled between stars filled with beings of all species working together. In a school on a distant world, a class gathered to learn history. The students were a mix of species, humans, former slave races, and yes, young Daezang. Today we study the Great Liberation War, said the teacher. Can anyone tell me why this conflict was so important? A small Daezang child raised her hand. It showed that no empire lasts forever, that even the most powerful can be defeated by courage and unity. Excellent, said the teacher. And what was the most important decision after the war? A human child answered. Admiral Li chose peace instead of revenge. She showed that even enemies can become friends. The teacher nodded. The lesson of history is clear. Power and fear create only temporary control. Respect and cooperation build lasting peace. Outside the classroom window, ships from a dozen worlds moved peacefully through the sky. Among them flew vessels of Daezang design, now used for exploration rather than conquest. The stars, once ruled by fear, now belong to all. The end.